Hello everyone. So we are going to start our today's lecture that would be on Inside Secure Synopsis, where we would be discussing about UPSC Civil Services Mains answer writing. Today also we are going to discuss like around 7 to 8 questions which would be beneficial for the upcoming UPSC 2026 mains examination. Starting with the first question, it says assess the significance of abolition of privy purses in Indian democratic transformation. What message did it convey regarding equality and nation building? So we have to discuss about this, about the abolition of the privy purses. We'll start with the introduction part, wherein it states that we would first describe about the privy purses. These were the rights and certain advantages which were given to the princely states. So the government of India, after the enactment of the constitution, had abolished the privy purses, so that only we have to mention in our answer. The integration of more than 560 princely states after the independence was achieved through a combination of diplomacy, constitutional guarantees and political accommodation. However, the consolidation of democratic republic required the removal of institution of perpetuated hereditary privileges and unequal citizenship. So, privy purses were the privileges which was given to the princes of the rulers of the princely states. So after independence, it was necessary that these privileges should be removed and all the citizens should be treated equally. Now, what was the significance? In the body, we have to write what was the significance of abolition of the privy purses. First significance would be affirmation of popular sovereignty. The abolition reinforced that authority in India emanates from the people rather than from the hereditary rulers. So this tells that the power is derived from the people and not from the hereditary rulers, thereby strengthening democratic character of the republic. So our Indian state is defined as democratic republics, brought governance closer to constitutional idea of equality before law under Article 14. So Article 14 tells us about equality of law, and by doing this thing we have strengthened this article. Next point is completion of political integration. It removed the remaining institutional distinctions between former princely states and rest of India, deepening national integration. So this focused on the national integration as well. In example, you all could write, while territorial integration was substantially completed by 1949 under Sardar Patel and V.P. Menon, the 1971 reform completed the process at the constitutional level. So at constitutional level also, this was achieved only in 1971. So we can say that till 1971 the rulers were given certain privileges and they were treated more than the citizens. Next significance is promotion of the republican values. The measures reinforce the idea that status and authority in the republic must derive from the constitutional legitimacy rather than hereditary entitlement. So we are telling you that constitutional legitimacy, all the authority should be derived from the constitution and not from the hereditary entitlement. Next significance is demonstration of democratic reform capacity. It highlighted the ability of parliament to undertake significant socio-political reforms through constitutional means. Example is following the Supreme Court judgment in Madhav Rao Scindia versus Union of India 1971, Parliament adopted a constitutional amendment route to achieve the policy objective. So from here also you can say that all the All the 5 are the significant points which were important in abolishing the privy purses for the democratic transformation of our country. What messages were conveyed through this regarding the equality and nation building? First point is equality of citizens. We have already discussed that citizens and rulers are treated equal, so there is equality of citizenship. The reform conveyed that every citizen enjoys the same civic status, irrespective of the social background, ancestry, or formal political position. Next point is nation about dynastic identities. It emphasized that national unity and constitutional allegiance takes precedence over regional royal affiliations. Next is commitment to social justice. The abolition signaled that public resources should serve developmental and welfare objectives rather than inherited privileges. So this is the other thing which is being conveyed. Next is rejection of the feudal structures. It symbolized India's determination to move away from pre-democratic and feudal arrangements. Reinforcement of constitutional morality. The measure demonstrated that democratic governance must be guided by constitutional values rather than historical concessions. So we are focusing only on the constitutional values and not on the historical concessions which were given to the rulers of the princely state. In conclusion, we would be writing the abolition of privy purses marked the triumph of the democratic citizenship over hereditary privilege and completed an important phase of India's nation building journey. It strengthened the moral and constitutional foundation of the republic, committed to equality, unity and democratic legitimacy. So this was the first question which belong to the history, that is modern history, and it comes under the GS1 paper. Next question we would be seeing, discuss the changing nature of the social movements in the 21st century. We have to describe about the changing nature of the social movements which were taken place in the 21st century. Again we have to say how have the technology, demographic and global interconnectedness reshaped the collective action. So this is taken from, this question has been framed from the magazine Down to Earth. This is the reference of the question from the article from where it has been taken. We'll start this. In the introduction we have to write, in the 21st century or the 21st century has witnessed a transformation in the character of social movements due to rapid technological change, wherein a youthful population and increasing global interconnectedness. Unlike traditional movements centered on formal organization and ideological leaderships, contemporary movements are often decentralized, network driven and issue based. So we have to say that the contemporary movements, they are mostly decentralized, they are taking place without any central authority. They are network driven, like it can happen over social media. So it is a network driven movement and they are majorly issue based. Now changing nature of social movements. Now how the nature has been changed of these movements. Shift from ideological based to issue based. Previously the movements were taking place based on the ideology. There was no major issue which was being taken up in these movements. Now it is issue based movement. Contemporary movements increasingly focus on specific concerns such as we have seen climate justice, gender rights, corruption and livelihood issues rather than broad ideological agendas. So in current example, you all can write about the CPJ, that is, or CJP, which is the Cockroach Janata Party. We have seen they are focusing on one issue. It is a issue based movement. They are doing strike for the resignation of the education minister. So they are focusing on the issue and not on the ideology or something of that kind. Another example would be Fridays for Future movement, which mobilized the youth globally around the climate action. So this movement focused on the issue which is about the climate change and the climate action rather than any other political ideology. So this makes the participation more effective and inclusive. Next point would be from hierarchical leadership to decentralized network. Modern movements often operate without a single leader and rely on horizontal coordination among participants. Example would be the Arab Spring, which took place in 2011, and it witnessed the mobilization through informal networks and not through a single leader, wherein citizens coordinated protest without conventional organizational structures. Next point, the next shift which we are seeing, it is expansion from local concerns to global solidarity. Social issues now transcend national boundaries, creating transnational advocacy networks and collective campaigns. Example for this would be Me Too movement, which has spread across the various continents, and it is not only a local issue but it is a global issue, which has highlighted concerns regarding the gender-based discrimination and harassment. So, in example, you all could write this about this movement. The next shift which we have seen in the current contemporary movements, it's greater participation of youth and marginalized groups. Nowadays, more number of youth are participating. They are participating in greater numbers, as well as marginalized groups are also taking part in the movements. Young people have emerged as major drivers of social action, demanding accountability and inclusion. Next is integration of online and offline activism. So nowadays, due to technology, online movements, online protests have also been taking place in larger numbers. Social movements increasingly combine digital campaigns with street mobilization, petition and community action. So movements are being integrated. They are taking place offline as well as online also. In example, you all could write the farmers movement, which was taken place in 2020 or 21, which used the digital platforms for maintaining large scale physical mobilization. So for mobilizing the youth and the farmers, this movement took place on the digital platforms as well. Now we'll see how technology has reshaped the collective action, how technology is helping for making these movements successful. Rapid dissemination of information. So because of technology, the information is being spread very rapidly and youth and other people can be mobilized very quickly. Social media enables instant communication and mobilization across vast geographical areas. In example, you all could write platforms such as X, which was Twitter, Instagram and WhatsApp have been used to coordinate protest and disseminate information in real time. So information can spread in a real time basis because of the technology and because of these platforms. Next is lower barriers to participation. There is no any barrier to participation. Anyone can participate in the online protest as well. Individuals can engage in public causes without membership in formal organizations. So it is not that the person participating in the movement has to belong under certain organization. They can freely participate in the movements. Online petition, in example you all would write online petition through platforms such as change.org enable citizens to support public causes and with minimal organization constraints. Next is creation of digital public spheres. Technology has expanded spaces for discussion, awareness building and political engagement. So because of technology, there is increase in discussion, awareness building and political engagement. Next is enhanced visibility of the social issue. Digital media amplifies local grievance and bring them into national and global discourse. So this is the another point. Next we would see strengthening constitutional freedom. So digital platforms facilitate exercise of Article 19, which is freedom of speech and expression, 19A, 19(1)(a) and 19(1)(b), which is relating to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. Citizens increasingly use digital spaces to articulate concerns and organize lawful collective action within constitutional framework. Next thing in this answer, we have to write how demographics and global interconnectedness have reshaped the collective action. So this would be the next heading of the answer, in which you all have to write rise of the largest youth generation in history. A youthful population has increased demands for employment, representation and social justice. Next point, growing aspirational gap and economic insecurity. Because of the rising educational levels and connectivity, which has elevated expectations regarding opportunities and governance. So because of this also the aspiration of the people increases. Cross-border diffusion of protest ideas. Because of the social media and the digital platforms, there is cross-border diffusion of the protest and how the protests are taking place and what are the ideas behind that protest. Successful movements inspire similar action elsewhere through global communication network. In example, you all could write the Arab Spring spread from Tunisia to several West Asian countries and other North African countries as well because of the communication channels. In the next point, you have to write emergence of the global citizen consciousness. Shared concerns such as climate change and inequality encourage collective action beyond national identities. Increased scrutiny of institution and governance. Exposure to global standards have heightened demands for transparency and accountability. So because of the global standards, people are coming to know what is happening in other countries, so their standards are also increasing, and for this they are demanding more transparency as well as accountability. In conclusion, how you all can conclude this answer: contemporary social movements reflect a world that is more connected, informed and aspirational than ever before. Harnessing technology and youth participation through inclusive institution and responsive governance can transform collective action into powerful force for democratic and social renewal. So these are the main keywords which you all can write in other conclusions as well. Next would be the general studies 2, wherein the first question is about the polity itself. Democratic stability ultimately rests on the ability of institution to translate citizens' aspiration into opportunities. We have to give comment on this statement. So you all have to expand this answer. The source of this is from the New Indian Express newspaper. Now starting in introduction, you all have to write the legitimacy and stability of the democracy depends not merely on the periodic elections but on the capacity of institutions to deliver justice, opportunity and dignity to citizens. So the legitimacy and stability of the democracy. Now we can say that our country is stable and it is more democratic when we can say that not only on the periodic elections but it should also have the capacity to deliver justice, opportunity and dignity to the citizens. The preamble as well as the directive principles of state policy envisions a social order where governance translates aspirations into tangible outcomes. In the body of the answer, you all have to write democratic stability ultimately rests on the ability of institutions to translate citizens' aspiration into opportunities. So The question only you all have to expand it with the following points. First point would be inclusive socio-economic mobility. The democratic institutions sustain stability when they enable citizens to improve socio-economic condition through education, employment and welfare. So the how the socio-economic conditions of the citizens improve? They improve by when the government or the government institutions provide education, better education, employment, as well as they focus on the welfare of the citizens. Then and only then we can say that there is inclusive socio-economic improvement in the conditions of the citizens. In the next point, you all can write realization of the constitutional promises. So whatever promises have been made in the constitution, they should be fulfilled by the government as well as the other governmental institutions, and they should focus on the values of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Next point is strengthening citizen trust. So the trust of the citizen should also be strengthened. It should be increased day by day, which can happen by effective governance only. Effective service delivery and grievance redressal enhance confidence in democratic processes and its institutions. In example, for this point, the example would be the platforms such as Umang and the CP-Gram. It has improved the citizens' access to public services and grievance redressal. Next is preventing social unrest. Opportunities reduce alienation, frustration and the social tensions among vulnerable sections, especially youth. For this, skill development programs such as Skill India Mission have been started by the government of India. Next is deepening participatory governance. We have to focus on the participatory governance. Responsive institutions create avenues for citizens to influence public policy. We have to give citizens right so that they can participate in the public policy making decisions, which is being done through the article or the 73rd and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, what are the challenges for this thing? The first challenge would be the persistent unemployment and underemployment. Because of unemployment and underemployment, the aspirations of the citizens are not fulfilled and they are not given any other more opportunities, or they cannot decide because of the unemployment and underemployment. This is the first point. Second point, the inefficiency of the institution and the unnecessary delays, like the administrative bottlenecks and the weak implementation reduce the effectiveness of the public programs. So when the institutions are inefficient and there are delays in the process, it hampers the public programs which are to be implemented by the government. Next challenge is regional and social inequalities. Because of the regional and the social inequalities, there is uneven access of education, healthcare facilities and the economic opportunities. Next is criminalization and declining public trust. Next challenge is judicial pendency and limited access to justice. So also because of this thing, when the justice is delayed or the delayed justice weakens the citizens' faith in institution and the constitutional remedies. In way forward, you all have to write whatever the challenges are there. The challenges, we have to resolve that challenges, and that only things would be coming into the way forward points. Like we have to promote employment centric growth. In challenge we had written that there is more unemployment, so here in way forward we have to write we have to promote employment, which would solve the issue. Next is we have to strengthen institutional accountability. The institution should be made more accountable. This could happen whenever there is greater transparency, performance evaluation is there, and citizen centric governance is carried out. Next thing which we could write in the way forward is accelerate judicial and administrative reforms. So whatever judicial and administrative reforms are taking place, they should be accelerated and they should be done on timely basis. Next is we have to invest in human capital development. We have to focus on the human capital development, which includes the education, skilling and health systems. Next is deepen decentralized governance. Empowering local institutions can improve responsiveness to local needs and aspirations. So these were the points which you all could write in the way forward. In conclusion, democratic stability is ultimately secured when institutions convert constitutional promises into lived realities for citizens. A responsive, accountable and opportunity oriented state or the government can transform demographic potential into democratic strength and long-term national resilience. So this is the way you all could conclude the answer. Next question is being taken from the Hindu newspaper. The question is, educational equity cannot be achieved merely through universal enrollment. Means we should not only focus on the universal enrollment, but there is more to it. Now we have to explain the institutional barriers that perpetuate the learning inequalities. So we have to write the answer in two parts. We will start with the introduction. India has largely achieved near universal school enrollment through initiatives such as Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 and Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. However, true educational equity requires that every child, irrespective of social or economic background, acquires comparable learning outcomes and opportunities. In the first point, you all could write the learning outcomes remain unequal. Like we have to write why educational equity cannot be achieved through the enrollment process itself. Like learning outcomes remain unequal because of the variation in the learning methods of the different schools. Access to schools do not automatically translate into quality learning, resulting in unequal educational achievements. The next point is social disadvantage persists within classrooms. Students from vulnerable communities often face barriers that affect their educational attainment even after enrollment. Now, how the institutional barriers are perpetuating the learning inequalities. So in first point, you all have to write about the teacher shortage and uneven deployment. Inadequate teacher availability disappropriately affects disadvantaged regions and schools. So there is no proportionate availability of the adequate teachers in the different areas of our country. Another point, you all could write the regional disparities are also harming this thing, that is, it is hampering the educational quality. Significant interstate variation result in unequal learning opportunities across the country. Weak school governance and accountability. The school governance is so weak and there is less accountability. This also is acting as a barrier. Inadequate support for the migrant children. The absence of curriculum portability and tracking mechanism disrupts the educational continuity. The next barrier is digital and infrastructural divides. Although SS has improved, disparities in digital resources and learning environments continue to affect the outcomes of the in the learning of the child. In the way forward, you all have to write strengthen the foundational learning. Like the government should strengthen the foundation learning. It should focus on the lower standards as well. Ensure adequate teacher availability. So whatever the challenges, whatever the barriers were there, same the opposite we have to write in the way forward. Third would be the improve governance and accountability. Fourth is create migrant responsive education system. Fifth is target equity based intervention. In conclusion, you all have to write educational equity demands that every child not only enters a classroom but also acquires a meaningful learning and capabilities. Achieving this requires transforming schools from centers of enrollment into institutions of genuine inclusion, quality and opportunity for all. So this was the fourth question. Coming to the next part, which is the General Studies 3. Here the fifth question we would be discussing. It is also been taken from the Indian Express newspaper. The question has been framed from the article published in the Indian Express. In this question it is asking, evaluate the prospects of artificial intelligence as a driver of economic growth and productivity of India. This is the first part. Now the second part is discuss the challenges associated with its sustainable and inclusive deployment. Suggest appropriate policy interventions. So the article is been about the artificial intelligence and the question has been framed from that topic. There are higher chances that this topic can be asked in this mains. In introduction, you all have to write, artificial intelligence is emerging as a foundational technology of the fourth industrial revolution. So this is the artificial intelligence is considered as the fourth industrial revolution. You all should know about all the four industrial revolutions which have been carried out, and it is influencing productivity, innovation and competitiveness across sectors. Recognizing its transformative potential, India has prioritized AI through initiatives such as India AI Mission, which was launched in 2024, and the vision of becoming a global digital economy leader. This was the introduction. In body, you all have to write about what are the prospects of the artificial intelligence, which is been acting as a driver for the economic growth and the productivity. The first point would be enhancing productivity across sectors. So because of the AI, the productivity is being enhanced in all the sectors. In the efficiency is being increasing in the agriculture, manufacturing as well as services. Next is accelerating innovation and entrepreneurship. AI can stimulate startups, ecosystems and create new product, services and business models. Improving public service delivery. AI can enable evidence-based governance, targeted welfare delivery and better administrative efficiency. In example, you have to write about the Bashini, which is under the Digital India program, and it uses the AI-based language technologies to improve citizens' access to digital services. So it is a language which is based on the artificial intelligence. Next is strengthening global competitiveness. The AI adoption which has been taking place, it improves industrial efficiency and supports India's ambitions in advanced technologies. It is also, in next point we'll write, it is generating new employment opportunities as well. Now what are the challenges associated with the sustainable and inclusive deployment of the artificial intelligence? The first challenge is risk of the job displacement and labor market disruption. So we are getting to know that artificial intelligence is taking away the jobs of the people, and it is leading to a risk of job displacement because of the automation which is disappropriately affecting the routine and the low skilled occupations. So low skilled occupations would vanish in certain years, in the upcoming years. The next challenge is the digital divide and the unequal access. Unequal access to digital infrastructure may widen the social economic disparities. The next challenge is data privacy and surveillance concerns. The fourth challenge is environmental and resource cost. Now we have seen that AI infrastructure requires sustainable electricity, computing power as well as water resources. So there are large servers which are being used for processing the artificial intelligence, and for that they are requiring a large amount of electricity, computing power, as well as water resources. Dependence on foreign technology ecosystem. This is the last challenge. Now, what are the policy interventions that are used for making the responsible AI deployment? Invest in AI ready human capital. So the government or the various sectors have to invest in the AI ready human capital, which can be achieved by expanding skilling or reskilling and multidisciplinary AI education to prepare the workforce for technological transition. Strengthening indigenous AI infrastructure. Develop domestic computing capacity, semiconductor capabilities, and sovereign digital infrastructure. We have to focus on the indigenous AI infrastructure. Establishing robust AI governance framework. So we have to focus on the frameworks as well. Next is promote sustainable AI ecosystems. We have to encourage renewable energy powered data centers and resource efficient computing practices. Next is ensure inclusive AI adoption. That is, AI adoption is being carried out in an inclusive way. We have to prioritize AI applications in agriculture, in healthcare, in health education, and local languages to maximize the benefits. In the conclusion, we have to write artificial intelligence can become a powerful engine of the economic growth, innovation, and productivity for India, but its success will depend on how effectively the country balances technological ambition with inclusion, sustainability, and accountability. A human-centric and responsible AI ecosystem can transform India into both an AI powerhouse and a model of equitable digital development. So this is the conclusion. You all can write this conclusion in any answer which is asked on the artificial intelligence. This is a generalized conclusion. The next question, that is sixth question, which is from the science tech topic. Here we have to explain the major application of prior processing across different sectors, and later on we have to assess its strategic importance for India. This article or this question has been framed from the article published in The Hindu. In the introduction, we have to write prior processing refers. So we have to define what is prior processing. It refers to the use of high temperature thermal and electrochemical processes which have been carried out to bring about physical or chemical transformation in materials. It is a critical technology underpinning key industries such as cement, metallurgy, and nuclear energy, with significant implication for India's industrial and strategic capabilities. Now, what are the major applications wherein this is being used that is prior processing is being used across different sectors? The first is the cement manufacturing industry. Prior processing is central to cleaner production, the key intermediate product which is required for cement manufacture and the construction in the construction sector. Next is the metallurgical extraction. It enables the recovery of metals from ores through roasting, smelting, and calcination, and thereby it's supporting the mineral based industries. In example, you all could write the production of zinc, copper, and lead involves thermal treatment of sulfide ores before extraction of the desired metal. So here also in metallurgy also the prior processing is being used. The next is in the steel and the alloy production. High temperature process facilitate the production of iron, steel, and specialized alloys required for manufacturing and infrastructure. Next sector is the nuclear fuel processing. Advanced pyroprocessing techniques are used to separate valuable minerals from the spent nuclear fuel through electrochemical methods. Next is chemical and industrial materials production. Several industrial chemicals and refractory materials depend on the thermal processing for production and purification. Example is calcination of limestone, which is to produce lime in essential process for steel, chemicals and construction industry. Next heading would be the strategic importance of the pyroprocessing for India. Now, what is the strategic importance? First point is infrastructure development. It supports the production of cement and steel, which is indispensable for infrastructure creation and economic growth. It is used as the resource security. Because of the pyroprocessing, it enables domestic value addition to minerals, other resources, and it reduces dependency on imported processed materials. It also gives the energy security. By the nuclear pyroprocessing can contribute to more efficient utilization of the nuclear fuel and support long-term energy sustainability. Industrial self-reliance. Indigenous pyroprocessing capabilities strengthen domestic manufacturing and reduce technological dependence on foreign countries. Technological advancement. Development of advanced pyroprocessing technology enhances innovation and high-end industrial capabilities. In conclusion, you all have to write, as India advances towards greater industrialization, energy security and technological self-reliance, robust pyroprocessing capabilities will become increasingly important. Investing in cleaner, energy efficient and indigenous pyroprocessing technologies can strengthen both economic competitiveness and strategic resilience. This was the sixth question. Next is the general studies paper 4, which is the ethics paper. The seventh question regarding this is, what does the following quotation mean in the present context? The quotation is, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself. We have to expand this thing. We have to give our meaning of this quotation. This quote was given by Richard Feynman. In introduction, you all have to write, the ethical conduct begins with intellectual honesty. Before correcting society, institutions and systems, an individual must possess the courage to confront personal biases, assumptions and self-deception. This idea lies at the heart of responsive leadership, public service and democratic governance. So this idea is also important for the democratic governance. In the body, you have to write the meaning of the quotation, that is intellectual honesty and the self-awareness. The quote emphasizes that the greatest obstacle to truth is often our own tendency to ignore facts, rationalize mistakes or cling to preconceived beliefs. Ethical behavior requires honest self-examination before judging others. In example, you all could write, a civil servant evaluating a policy must objectively assess outcomes rather than selectively highlighting success to protect personal reputation. This reflects the principle of objectivity under Second Administrative Reform Commission Ethics in Governance report of 2007. The next point is avoiding cognitive biases. Individuals often fall prey to confirmation biases, overconfidence and motivated reasoning. Ethical decision making requires questioning one's own assumption and remaining open to evidence. Example is, during disaster management, officials must rely on verified data rather than the assumptions about preparedness, ensuring timely intervention and preventing avoidable losses. It is foundation of integrity as well. Self-deception weakens integrity because it allows individuals to justify unethical actions. Honest self-assessment creates accountability and moral consistency. The next point is commitment to truth and scientific temper. The quote highlights the need to pursue truth through evidence and reason rather than convenience or popular opinion. Article 51A(h) of the Indian Constitution encourages the development of scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform, which requires citizens to challenge their own misconceptions. Next point is personal responsibility for ethical conduct. Ethical failures often begin when individuals convince themselves that minor wrongs are acceptable. Preventing self-deception strengthens personal accountability. Relevance in the present context. Now, how this code is relevant in the present context? Combating misinformation in the digital age. This is very important point because of the social media algorithms often reinforce existing beliefs, making self-critical thinking essential for informed citizens. Strengthening ethical governance. Public institution functions effectively when officials are willing to identify shortcomings rather than the conceal failures. Enhancing evidence-based policy making. Effective governance requires policies to be continuously reviewed against outcomes rather than political preferences. This was the third point. It promotes accountability in public administration. Acceptance of mistakes is the first step towards institutional reform and public trust. Next point is building ethical leadership in public life. Leaders who acknowledge limitations and correct errors inspire greater trust than those who deny obvious failures. Addressing corruption and abuse of power. Many unethical acts are justified through self-serving rationalizations. Recognizing such rationalization is essential for maintaining probity, that is honesty. Recommendation in the example, recommendation of the second ARC stress the need for ethical framework, integrating systems and transparency mechanisms to prevent misuse of authority. In conclusion, you all can write the quotation reminds us that truthfulness towards onset is the foundation of all other ethical virtues. In the era of misinformation, polarization, and complex governance, challenges, self-awareness, and intellectual honesty remain indispensable for ethical citizenship and responsive public service. So these were the 7 questions which we have discussed today. We'll end our today's session.